Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. This is your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, coming with a show for July 4th, 2019. And here is what's on the menu. Well, if you had to be in foster care, and you are a black man, I think this story here will be something warming to your heart. The brother from Westchester who's been a foster parent for 21 years, and watch his story. Did you know that kids as young as 5 years old somehow learn racial bias through their interactions with their other schoolmates? Well, look what this study talks about. Did you hear in California, the first state, is going to pass something of a first law? Discrimination against black hair, and what they did to combat that, and now it's a law. Did you hear about BSO? You know what that is? That's in Florida, right? Remember those who are avid watchers of the show? Remember how those security officers or those off-duty deputies beat up them kids? Well, they got officially charged. Check that story out. Well, if you should happen to be in Arkansas, and you know that many of the 50 states have different ways of dealing with marijuana. Some legal, illegal, some decriminalizing it. But Arkansas has a confusing aspect about it. Still catching people with marijuana and still trying to charge them. But check this story out. Pennsylvania is doing something else that's on the record that may be for those who might be in Pennsylvania. 30 million records will be sealed, meaning they can't use that against you. It's like being expunged. Check that story out. Well, if you're Puerto Rican in this area, trying to get a license seems like they be discriminated against. But one brother decided to take it to the legal way, and check that story out. Well, there's a team called the Fireflies who decided they want to honor 3 African American players. We'll talk about that. Well, I seen this one story where it was the Black Panthers went and shut it down. Said, hey, you did this to one of our residents, one of our family members, shut it down. Check that story out. And then we have to give some recollection back to about Flint, Michigan. It's been buried and hidden. No one's talking about it, but I seen something that somebody did some passionate talk. We'll talk about that. Now again, this is the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. This is Black Minds News. And this channel is to report, articulate, transcribe, inspire, insinuate. We get it from websites, news, publications, and anywhere we can find it. And first and foremost, we give honor to the Creator. I'm gonna say the reason why we give honor to the Creator is because the truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people, what we call BADOS, could be Black American descendant of slaves, Black African descendant of slaves. Some even say American descendant of slaves. We give honor to our ancestors. You know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. And this will be today's show, July 4th. For those who might be barbecuing, were you with your family? But do we got freedom? Well, stay tuned as this show gets ready to take off. Stay tuned for this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing, everybody? This is Black Minds News. I'm your host again, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to another tape show. You know, I'm still on the 90-day suspension as being the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. And want to say first and foremost to my subscribers, what's good, fam? You got some new people in there. Hey, what's up to you if you should just happen to hear what's good to you? Okay, you know how it is. Well, let's just say this, passerbyers. If you should just happen to have gone down the dead end road on the internet and happen to turn down that dead end and ran across the show and you click that button and you like what you heard, welcome. Because this is the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Hopefully that you find some things in here that you can like. Go down to the library, see something. But if you should just happen to see something that might just disrupt you a little bit, make you a little bit uncomfortable, don't run. Let me send the manager out there and talk to you, spit a couple syllables to you. Maybe we can get you a return. Maybe next time you come back, you might understand that what this show is really about. We're not here to offend anybody. We're just here to make our stance as black Americans in this land. And everybody else are allies when you want to be, and you can be enemies if you so choose. So anyway, this being July 4th, 2019. Again, I don't know if anybody here barbecue, because on this show, we already broke it down what that barbecue is and what it's in reference to and historically as to you being black Americans in this nation. But if you should just be cooking because it is a little hot, and you got a day off, you know what I'm saying, family, so forth, all right. But again, this country say it has 200 plus years of freedom, and we going on 400 years of our historical bondage trying to get some freedom, trying to get a lick on the cone, you know what I mean? So anyway, it is what it is. So let's get into the show. Again, like I said, I'm trying to come on consistently, right? That I can't do the live and try to get, probably won't be till almost damn near September, right? Yeah, about September between 11 and 12. It could be, right? So anyway, I got a nice show put for you up today. So again, I got this one particular aspect here, a brother, man, that is doing some real fine work, I think, again, as long as we don't hear nothing later on about, some wrongdoings. But based on the story and what they reported and what they showed, I'm going to give the brother 100%. I'm going to get him and put him on my show to give him a little shine on the light. Now, this individual here is doing something that's very commendable. If you had the capacity in your life, in your house, knowing that, again, we have a lot of people, again, once we went through the crack era, and a lot of families got destroyed, a lot of people grew up having either no parent, rearing themselves. That's why a lot of people, they assume that because they street, and they got all their rearing from the street, that makes them better than others. Now, it's sufficient in the world that the game that you run and you play in, but sometimes it can be a handicap if you don't have all the P's and Q's. And it don't mean that somebody who do got it make them better than you. It's just that if you don't get your first teachings from at home, I think you're always in the deficit. Some people can agree and some people can disagree with me. But teach his own. But again, sometimes, the game, it's like poker, right? Sometimes you can get dealt a certain hand and you don't got a good hand. But you're not getting poker trying to get a better card. And sometimes the cards come based on the simple fact about people that come across your life, whether they're good or bad. There could be a bad card because you can have some people that come across your life that do things that make more detriment in your life. And you can have some people that come across that give you some, they can enlighten you. They can, bring, education is this really mean to bring out of you, right? And so these people, you try to, have something to stain in the mind to always in remembrance of them and try to be the ones that you use as what catapults you to try to be aspiring to do other things. Well, I've seen this story here. I ain't going to keep talking about it. I'm going to show about it. And so, again, let's give this brother something here and let you see it, and then I'll come back after that. Check this out. We'll be right back.
They're kids, they need me, and I need those kids.
Nelson Willis has been a foster parent for 21 years, instilling family values into each young man that he gives a home.
And the thing I really stress with them is morals, character, conduct, responsibility, and what it means to be a person that society feels good about you and you feel good about yourself.
Willis is focused on raising young African-American men, giving them a chance to achieve their full potential.
Because I see the possibility, maybe there's a doctor in that group. Maybe there's a lawyer in that group. Maybe there's a businessman in that group. Maybe there's a president in that group. We don't know.
He has a passion for being there for kids. He has a passion to provide the support that children need so that they can be in a loving home and a permanent home.
Nelson has raised each and every child as his own, and that is something his son Shondell is grateful for.
Knowing that you got somebody that never will give up on you is a feeling words can't even explain. A foster parent like Mr. Willis is rare.
And when you ask him how much longer he plans on being a foster father,
Till I can't do, whatever that may be, because I'm living to be 107, so it'll be a long time. There are a lot of kids that are waiting on Nelson Willis, and I'm waiting on them.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.
All right, so we see there Nelson Willis, brother, been doing foster care, foster parenting for young black men for 21 years, right? And again, if you notice about we as black people in this land, and again, this does not differentiate between other people of other nations, but again, I myself, as being a BADOS, a Black American descendant of slaves, my focus is not so much, not that I don't talk in reference to everyone, but I talk solely because, again, as we going through what we go through in this nation, and everybody else seem to be it to, if you're not part of the lineage or you're not cut from the cloth, you can jump off and go back to other things. We don't have that. So we have to be our own. So we have to be our brother's keepers at time. And so you have to have shows like mine that, is not so much about the gossip other than the stories that need to relate to you to understand that what's going on all around you. But we also have to show things of positiveness when they are there. And I believe that this story here is positive for the self, that Nelson Willis is taking and opening up his home to men, young children, that he didn't have to do what he do. So you understand, you sometimes got to find what your calling is. And this individual here's calling is to help rear young men to give something back, constructively to the Black American people. And what more way to be more commendable than being a parent, the first teachers of a child's development. And you can see some of the things that he talks about. He talks about morals, characters, conduct, responsibility, right? Teaching them how to have self-esteem and pride for oneself, so that when they go out into the world, I don't focus so much about what everybody else think about me, because see, I think that's a lot of bullshit. I'm just going to say it straight up. I think that's a lot of bullshit, because a lot of people got a lot of prejudice and bullshit in them that I think they need to look in the mirror about the shit about themselves before you try to project your shit on me or us, right? And so if you can get people like that to open up their homes, and we probably can, do a lot of work, but I know everybody doesn't have the compassion nor the heart or, really just the time, because some people have children and don't even do that with their own, right? And here's somebody, I'm not sure if he had any children. I understand when he said son, and I see the name of the young brother that was speaking, it had another name. So let me show the brother up there. Let me give him the shine, right? So that's the brother there, Nelson Willis, a foster father, right? And there's nothing wrong in that what he's doing, as long as we don't ever hear about any wrongdoing, perversion, and things of that. This is the most commendable job in this day and age, besides having your own and rearing your own, that somebody's willing to open up theirs and bring you in and try to rear you in the best way possible of their ability and knowledge. You understand? And stories like this are not kind of the stories they really want to talk about. So it's incumbent on us to do these type of stories. And I said Nelson Willis will get some. He will be starting my show up today. And for those who didn't know, there you go, Mr. Nelson Willis, who is doing a commendable job. And hopefully, again, he gets to live as long as he wants and provide more. Because, again, for a lot of you women out here, and you say there ain't no good men to pick, it's brothers like this brother who's trying to rear up to give some for your children, your daughters and grandchildren, somebody who maybe, you might be approval of because they're not like some of the other dredge, and we don't throw them away. We understand. But I don't think sometimes some of us, that's not kind of relationship you want unless you can confide in them and they're listening to you and you can kind of help to rear them. You understand? And so, again, we're going to give something to that brother there, and that's Nelson Willis. Okay? So, that's a good thing. There's always something good in that, right? Nothing bad in that situation. So, let's go on to my next story here, right? What else I got in here? Well, the master go ahead and go here because, since we're talking about kids and rearing, I seen this story here, right? And it's kind of like, well, as I call myself a whiteologist, right? And meaning that, again, another motto that I got is, white folks, if you should be hearing me, passing by, come by and hear me, I am a white person's best friend. Why? Because I'm going to tell you stuff other people won't tell you. You understand? Not saying that that's what I'm looking for to do. I'm just saying, again, if you have somebody that won't tell you the truth, then what kind of friend is they? Now, I'm not saying I'm going to go out and hang out with you and we're going to... That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is things that are being said here versus, the things that people will project to make other people look the way they want to project them as. We over here on Black Minds News, we're just going to tell like a TI is from the black perspective, from a black commentary perspective. You understand? And so you can learn a lot and then see how you fit and then try to, curb yourself to make some changes. Because see, everybody wants to put all the blame on we as if we do all the change. And some of us do the change, right? And y'all don't have to do nothing. Like all the burden falls on us. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't. And this here in 2019, these kind of stories like this lets you know that no, it's not just us. So let me show you this, and we should be right back. Check this out. Hold on. Everybody is always doing some monkeyness, huh? Monkey, right? But man, you shouldn't be using monkey. Well, we don't got RH. Maybe some, but not all.
Kids in most places across the country, either in school, heading out to school later in the morning, and you as the parent hoping for the best, I'm sure, that they're treated fairly by other children. But what might give you pause this morning is some startling new research out of York University in Toronto that suggests white children as young as 5 years old show racial bias in favor of other white children. Nicole Mortiaro is our senior science and technology writer with me in studio to tell us more about what these researchers found.
Well, the study comes out of York University, and they were looking at implicit bias. So this is bias.
Implicit bias.
Yes, implicit, as opposed to explicit. So implicit bias is the bias we have attitudes towards people. It could be hair color, eye color, race, weight, anything like
Tattoos.
that. Tattoos, yes.
Yes.
And you have an unconscious bias or perception about somebody with those attributes.
So how did they actually, what kind of tests did they do to test children as young as 5?
Well, it can be tricky. I mean, they've done tests. There have been tests actually at the University of Toronto on babies, and that one's a little trickier. But with these kids, they took 350 children from Toronto, okay, and they applied 3 different tests. One of the most well-known ones is called the IAT, the Implicit Association Test.
Right.
So this actually is a test developed by Harvard researchers. And the adult test, what they do is they put pictures of a white person, of a black person, you categorize them white, black, and then you categorize them into, now you see a picture and you categorize them into good or bad. So what they did with the kids.
You click on that with a computer, do
exactly.
you?
It has to be very quick, too.
Yes.
So that's a tricky thing.
Okay.
So, but they modified that particular test, for example, for children. Okay. And then they gave another one to test the similar things. You know, they had a black face of a boy, a white face of a boy, and then a gray square. And then they showed them an ink blot. Does that make them happy or sad?
And this is what they found, going back to age of 5.
Yes.
I mean, how is it that something like that starts so early?
Well, so first of all, one of the big takeaways from this research is that they are showing bias towards other white children, but they're not necessarily showing negativity towards black children. Okay. So that is because when you're younger, even when they're babies, it's something familiar and it's you're egocentric. So I'm the best, and so it goes on from there. But with the older children, so those closer to the age of 12, what they found was that they didn't necessarily associate by race. And that was because they're more likely to associate by similarities, likes, dislikes, things like that.
So that's interesting. I mean, there's some positivity in some of the findings, but parents hearing us talk this morning going, whoa, my young son or daughter may have this inherently. What's the big takeaway from the researchers about how to stop this developing at such an early age?
So one of the things their research and actually other research suggests is not to take a colorblind approach. So don't say everybody's equal, this person doesn't have any differences. You want to say, sure, everybody's equal, but this person it comes from this type of culture, and you teach them to appreciate different cultures. Okay. And fortunately, I mean, not everybody can do that. You might say if you're in a small town as opposed to a big city like Toronto or Vancouver, but the internet, books, social media, you can expose your children to the diverse cultures from around the world and show them that positivity.
And celebrate those differences. Yes. That's just a beginning of the conversation. Nicole, thank you very much for coming down.
All right, so I got a test out here that they did again. And, going back, they already had the Dow test, right? I already talked about that Dow test, right? So I guess this is like kind of a more technological way of doing it, right? They don't do it with computers, right? But the results going to still be the same regardless, because it's not about testing, is it? It's just what is, again, as they say, implicit, right? Remember, you heard her say that twice. She was like, implicit? Yeah, implicit. So just in case somebody may not know what implicit means, implicit is capable of being understood from something else through unexpressed, implied assumptions involved in the nature or essence of something, though not realized or expressed or developed. Potential, right? Or being without doubt or reserve. There's other ways you can look at that too. Again, I'm also a wordologist, right? So implicit also means like absolute, a perfect, a complete, entire, whole, total, sheer, utter, unmitigated. I use that to mitigate the gall all the time, don't I? Unrestricted, condition, unreserved, positive, determinate, certain, variable, unequivocal, ambiguous, or unambiguous, explicit, express, sure, assured, cocksure, confident, unquestioning, undoubting, unquestionable, implied, inferred, inferential, deduced, deducible, understood, tacit, unspoken, and unexpressed, right? So those are different ways of looking at words. See how many different words that one word implies. I mean, it has so many different variables to it, right? And so again, what again, think about how, again, white folks have connotative language. That's why you need a lawyer to have you read documents, is because why? They say, well, that's not for common, because we got tricks and turns. And again, as they say, white men speak up with a forked tongue, right? So he never going to speak straight. He going to always speak on a slant. And so it's up for your, again, being educated, they say you have to be able to understand, discern where they coming from. So let's look at this. So it said the studies had found that white kids favor other white kids. Is that anything? Did we, again, we as black people in this nation, if you don't have a private school, homeschooling, right, or have teachers that image that the children can relate to and see themselves, and they're teaching from that perspective, then the curriculum that is taught in the school is strictly white, Eurocentric, biased teaching. We know that. But now that we in this age, and again, we're trying to make a lot of changes and eradicate some of the wrongs. And again, as they said, the country is becoming a lot more browner, right? So with that being said, then, you know, out with the old and coming in with the new. But they say it don't really express negativity towards black children. Now, wait a minute. If study find that white kids favor other white kids, then who, back in the day, old school, though, who know one of these things is one is doing his own thing. Tell me which, remember that old Sesame Street ass shit, right? They doing their own thing, and you don't tell me because they doing their own thing, you outside of the circle, ain't no bias in that. Oh, it's just, we have a lot in common. Well, you're white. You know what I'm saying? You white, and everything that you know is identical to this person. So this person here is outside because they're a little different, right? A lot of difference, right? And so we see that this study is out of York University, and they did the test was did to give children as young as 5 years old to show the racial bias in favor of other white children. Now, wait a minute. They conducting the children, really they're trying to see our black children, because again, remember, the reason why I'm the most hated show on the black corner of the internet is because I did the video called The White Extinction. And they thought that video had been on here for 6 years. Right? 6 years? Yeah, about 5 years, right? 5 years that video had been on here, and they did everything. First, they stopped it. Then they put restriction on it. Then they just recently came and said, well, we decided that we're going to take it down. Yet you got it restricted, and somebody can click on it, went in there, and still went complain. Hey, this video, I don't like it. Why did you click the button and said that you want to see it? It already told you, gave you a warning up front, and yet you still. No, that was nobody. That was them. They think somebody ain't smart like that. Hey, you all, again, grandpa don't like seeing himself. But anyway, let's move on. So you saying this study is really based on trying to find out whether black kids, the younger ones, have the bias towards white kids. Because again, they said the distinction video that I made talking about how they can't have it. What about killing them? It was just about the fact that they were having problems procreating and can't have children. And that it was going to be becoming a problem. They say that about 2048, 2050, they were going to be a minority. So they're trying to get in preparation as to like, damn, is they going to come and do what we doing to them? So they trying to test the young ones. And the young ones is just kind of going with the same old program that they mom and daddy went, they grandparents went through, they great, you understand? Same old program, except for, you know, you have once in a while, you have some sprinkles, Mr. Blow Your Mind. You know, you have some sprinkles that they say, this one here, you know, no. So anyway, so they, again, this is coming out of, I think it's York, Ontario, Canada, right? And so they say they tested about 350 white children to gain a better understanding of implicit bias. Now, we talked about the word implicit, right? And the bias that is automatic and unbeknownst to the individual. As young as 5, and just imagine your child when they watching TV, as I have been saying on this show, they see a lot of imagery and all that subliminal shit as well, and plus the programming, because when you find out who are the people that are funding a lot of the things of the kids, and you find out the history of them, oh yeah, it's being implemented. You just don't know. I mean, you may sit down and wonder why, you know, watch back. If you was raising children in the 90s, you watch a lot of those Disney movies right along with them, right? You was watching with them, right? But still there's some things that just sit up in the threshold of the mind, right? Alpha, theta, beta mind, right? And that theta is when you're sitting in that conscious state, when you're just watching and not understanding that somebody's programming while you focus on what you're doing. And that's why all that subjective stuff is being put in your mind. So what would make us think that white children, again, a system that is always white, is not going to have the superior, mentality that everything is about me? That's what I see. Everything is, once in a while I do see some stuff. And then what is the things I'm hearing at home? The biases from other people may be saying some things, a little sleight of hand saying shit on the slide. Yes, they may be fired, but that don't mean they're not hearing and they can't regurgitate, right? So anyway, it said that the participants completed a, child-friendly version of implicit association test. That was the IAT she was talking about, right? And so this test, they said, was developed by researchers at Harvard University. And so what they did is they did it again, as you heard her talk about. She said they showed a series of photos on a computer screen. And these featured either a white boy or a black boy. And for each image that the children were asked to choose, the mouse, they would click the mouse, which one made them happy or sad, right? Now, you wouldn't think that somebody of 5 years old would be clicking when they see somebody black and saying sad. But again, it's been, extra ketchup on the fries on certain shit. And so you wouldn't be surprised if you've seen a 5-year-old, because again, you're seeing teenagers in high school, blackface saying all kind of stuff, and then you seeing stuff in grade school. They bullying with making other little black kids kill themselves. So I'm not shocked. Well, some people might be shocked. I'm not shocked. So they said they also did another group. They did a group from 5 to 8, and then they did another group from 9 to 12. And they were saying that they show greater positivity towards white children than black children. Of course. Birds of the feather gonna flock together. I remember having a conversation with somebody, a little shorty that was growing up. I kind of knew it was kind of, kind of real somewhat. Still to this day, we call and be telling advice, and you know how it is. So, had a little like white friend, and I was like, it's cool to have that, right? It ain't nothing wrong with having that kind of fraternization, association with people like that. But what I'm saying is, now look at the stuff that you do. Now this one was kind of like active, into athletics and things like that. Want to go hang and do. This other one was kind of just, want to maybe smoke cigarettes and just do nothing and, go do pranks and shit like that. And I'm like, now these opportunities, now you done got on this team. She don't do that. I said, I'm not trying to deter you. I'm just saying you better start looking at this, because I said as you get older, now check this out. As you get older, she gonna go her way and you gonna go your way. She, Mr. Blows Your Mind. The world ain't like it used to be when you. Oh, really? Okay, I'll step out. I don't want to step up out of it. Oh, now we talking about over 10 years later. Now you in the real world, and it's like I get phone calls like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, really? Oh, you getting it now? Oh, see? What that one is that? Oh, they been going about their long hair. Now you had all the opportunities to do some things that could have taken advantage of. Because of this one, you didn't get it the way you should have got it, right? And so now you struggling. Because again, you was going to struggle anyway, because again, we struggle because all the obstacles again, because everything is white. And so when you're young, and then again, we not understand all the things that's being inculcated in them schools to make them divide and not listen to you, because they think we got technology when you was there, didn't have no technology, so we smarter than you. Not on your best day. Not on your best day. You understand? Now, that don't take nothing away from them. I'm just saying, don't take away my experience as well as what I have. And again, I'm like Abraham Lincoln, if he was real. You know what I'm saying? You could be self-taught. I think your self-teaching is better than the curriculum you get in school, because you teach you learn what you want to learn that's beneficial for you than somebody tell you some shit that they just to pass a test to get to the next grade, and you don't even retain a lot of that shit because in your life you probably ain't gonna use a lot of that damn shit. But they got it in your damn head. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so they're infusing shit even though you don't know what they're doing. So again, they say Harvard is the one. Again, Harvard's supposed to be one of the prestigious schools in the nation. A lot of this where your politicians and the people, movers and the shakers will go. So again, of course, this is the big merchant school. This is the one that's setting up so how everybody gonna fit in our shit, right? All right. So they had another test, what was known, they called as the misattribution, I think it's called misattribution procedures, AMP test, right? And it was shown where either a black child, white child, or a gray square. Now, what the hell is a gray square? Is that combine both, right? So the gray would represent both of them combined together, like no bias, like that's two of them together, right? And so it was like in milliseconds, they were showing an ink blot and asked if the blot was like pleasant or unpleasant. So now what they're doing is they're going to use the color, right? They said, well, the answers expose bias towards the image shown before the ink blot, right? Which was black. Those who might have remembered, there's a book used to call, what was it called? It had a dog in that book, Spot. See Spot run, get Spot run, right? And all the motherfuckers black in the goddamn book was a spot. So now here's the black kid looking at the damn book with the white dog with a black spot on it and trying to figure out himself. So I guess you the damn spot. That's the only thing you can be, right? So, of course. So the black is still representing what you want it to represent, even though it's just an ink blot. It's just a spot. No, it's representing something, right? And they're not, as much as you may think they ain't catching on, they caught on to that, right? So, the spot makes me sad. So, okay, so now they were saying that they were showing positivity toward white kids, but necessarily negatively toward black kids, led researchers to think that, well, in all totality, the kids, the tests don't take it so seriously. They only just grouping what they know. No, that's the whole thing. Going back to what the brother Nelson Wilson said when he was teaching them young boys around him, moral character, conduct, responsibility. And that's the one thing that I see that these people have a hard time doing. They don't want to be responsible for knowing that a system that is rigged and have biases and prejudiceness and unjusticeness, but somehow we can just put all that to the side and that the game still can be played normally and not have no real effects. You only fooling who? Who are you really fooling when you're doing that? You're not fooling us. Right? But that's what they want to do. So they keep testing to see, like the Willie Lynch letter said that the program that he was instilling was going to last for 300 years. Well, they want to see how much of this still in and what do we need to eradicate and what do we need to still fix to get it back. Because again, what is Make America Great Again? The only way it could be great is to have us back in the position that it was that got you where you is today. All right, you heard that right here, right? So we're moving on. But that's what that was on that story there. I'm going to move on, right? So, all right. So since we're talking about that, I might as well just go over here, right? Let me go on over here and check this out, right? Because I think this here got a lot of positivity to it because I got a lot of ways you can look at this. So let me show you this. All right, let me show you this. And okay, hold on. This mug is, that's what I'm saying. It be, these mugs all up in my system. Boy, y'all really just don't know, do y'all, huh? But anyway, check it out. I'm going to do this and be right back. Check this out.
woke up like this, flawless. That's what Beyonce says. A new law makes California the first state to ban discrimination against black students and employees over their natural hairstyles. Governor Gavin Newsom signed the bill into law yesterday. It protects black people with styles like dreadlocks or cornrows. CBS This Morning Saturday co-host that's Michelle Miller is at Essence Festival in New Orleans, an annual expo celebrating black culture and music. Michelle, what's behind this new law?
Well, Gail, good morning. Well, the Essence Festival, this festival we're talking about, is all about empowering black women, not just in mind and spirit, but in how they wear their hair, their crown. Let's face it, hair matters to everybody. But the authors of this new law say that women with kinky and curly hair are often discriminated against, viewed as inferior even. Dove recently sponsored a survey that showed that black women were 80% more likely to change their natural hair to conform to social norms and expectations on the job. So there are a lot of folks who think this new law is long overdue.
It had nothing to do with the job. I knew the job, or you wouldn't have hired me. It just had everything to do with my hair.
Chastity Jones was tangled in a nearly 10-year legal battle after she says an employer took back a job offer at an Alabama call center because she refused to cut her hair.
She said, "Are those dreadlocks in your hair?" And I just looked at her and I was like, "These?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Yes, they are." She said, "Well, we can accept that here."
In 2013, Jones sued the company for discrimination and lost wages, but her claim was dismissed. Last year, the NAACP filed a petition to bring her case to the Supreme Court. It declined to hear the case.
She just didn't make me feel like I was wanted there, period.
She's not alone.
What's wrong with her hair?
In August of 2018, Louisiana sixth grader Faith Finity was kicked off school grounds because her braided hair violated school policy. And a few months later, a wrestling official told New Jersey high school athlete Andrew Johnson he would have to cut his dreadlocks in order to compete.
To make sure our beauty is welcome.
Duck executive A.C. Eggleston Bracey spearheads the Crown Coalition, an alliance of corporate and community organizations whose goal is to highlight bias that pressures women to conform to Eurocentric standards of beauty.
What happens is your natural hair is one way, and you think you have to change that to go into a work environment because the view of what's professional is different than what your natural state is.
And now lawmakers are stepping in. California State Senator Holly Mitchell introduced the first law to associate hair as an extension of one's race, which is legally protected.
Terminated because of the way they choose to wear their hair.
The way my hair grows out of my head as a black woman is a trait of race.
Lawmakers in New York and New Jersey have now also introduced versions of the Crown Act. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he's proud to lead the nation by being the first to sign it.
There's a human element to this. We don't want to diminish people. We don't want to demean people. We have to own up to the sins of the past. And I hope that folks are paying attention all across this country.
And New York could be the second state to sign this bill into law. It's awaiting the governor's signature. And folks here at Essence, well, they're having a big celebration breakfast on Friday. The Crown Coalition is meeting to march this victory, hopefully, they say, into a national movement.
Michelle,
Jerika?
thank you. Thank you very much. Definitely a topic I think I know you probably have experience.
I certainly
on some
do.
level.
Listen, it's 2019. I don't know too many little black girls. I grew up in Turkey, and I can remember many times there was 3 little black girls in the class always being asked, "Can I touch your hair?" You know, just we all had the 2 braided pigtails or 3 braided pigtails, being asked, "Can I touch your hair?" because they'd never seen anything like it. That's why I like Crown, creating a respectful and open world for natural hair.
Yeah.
I do think this is a good idea too, Tony.
I do think it's a good idea. I'm shocked that actually there were people losing jobs and getting kicked out of school and having to cut, and being asked to cut their hair before they can compete in this day and age. It's just surprising to me. I guess
it's a way to
be.
express yourself.
Yes.
And like you said, I think there's sort of an ignorance about, your hair. especially if you're African American. I remember being in school and people saying, "Why don't you wash your hair every day?
Yeah,
Do you use grease? What is that about?"
Yes.
So it is an open conversation that needs to happen so people are more aware and sensitive to this.
And they make certain assumptions based on your hairdo, which also many times are not valid.
Correct.
So this is good. Crown, creating a respectful and open world for natural hair.
Did you
Nicely
say you grew
done,
up in
California.
You grew up in Turkey? We're going to have to talk about that some future date. All right.
Yes, I did.
I know that's right. I know everybody caught that one. Hold on.
I woke up like this.
That's what I'm saying. Boy, there's some funny business going on here, man. Tell you, boy, don't think I'm the most hated show, and it's only when I go live. Yeah. I always feel like somebody is watching me. Anyway, so, all right, so we see that California decided they're going to be the first state, because they're the first state according to how they count everything, right? So they say California becomes the first state to ban hairstyle discrimination. Now, again, there's a pros and a cons. Just the way I see it as a whiteologist, right? It's a good thing, right? Because again, as I said, everything being white. And then here you come as being somebody in total opposition of them, but you can't seem to be having nothing of your own without them giving the approval of whether that's acceptable or not. We're different people. Our hair texture, our body, a whole lot of things are just different. But again, somebody not trying to, look at it from that perspective, again, not giving a shit about what you think any damn way, right? So anyway, we see that Sacramento, California, see that was the governor, name was Gavin Newsom. He's the one that signed the law and it was on Wednesday, the bill making California the first state to ban workplace and school discrimination. Now again, workplace and school discrimination. Could they still find a loophole? So if at school you can't do it, and at work you can't do it, but what about other places? You understand? Why can't it just be a bill that just says, just blanket it all, no matter where, right? So always got a back door, right? Nothing is fully secure, right? And so what it says is that black people wearing hairstyles, braids, twists, and locks. But you see, they trying to make it seem more primarily towards women. You see a lot of our brothers wearing braids. You see brothers wearing locks. So that not just gender specific only to females. You also have that as men. So, you know what I'm saying? Think about that, right? So that's why I said, you better look at this. I think somebody trying to throw a biscuit at sisters. Listen to me well. It sounds like they trying to throw a biscuit because, you got shows like Mr. Blow Your Mind and others, and we're talking about tangibles and about reparations and all that good stuff. And so they saying, again, you seen the other show where Roland Martin was saying, right? And putting it on black men as the one that's really causing this division and all this hatred. So black men seem to be the catalyst, the one that's trying to divert the same old status quo of just following and going along and going Democrats. And instead of you starting to look at things and saying, okay, we're going to play the game this way, and we want things to be expressed to us that what you're going to do, not just to the simple fact that you're in a party. And so maybe chess move, which is, look, we passed the bill saying that now you don't have to feel like your hair is a hindrance and so if you want to wear it natural, go ahead. See, look what we did for you. The black man couldn't have done that for you. Huh? Yeah, huh? Maybe some of y'all understand what I'm saying. Maybe you don't, but okay. So again, you've seen that it was Senator Holly Mitchell of Los Angeles. She's a black woman, and she also wears locks. And it was her that, therefore, that was the one that was kind of like pretty much pushing it and got it to the point that they ended up, again, as that dude, Gavin Newsom, Governor Gavin Newsom, made it now law, right? And based on what she's saying, well, this will be changed in the course of history, hopefully across the country, that it's going to be acknowledging that what has been defined as professional hairstyles and attire in workplace. So wait a minute, you didn't cover attire. You only cover the hair. That's something late. That's something later. So, historically, there's been a lot of Eurocentric models based on straight hair, and this here is one step, and now, again, But somebody finna take a blow in this. Do you know who finna take a blow in this? Hairstylist gonna take a blow in this. Cause see now, if women don't have to be in there all permed up, doing all this stuff, and they start to go natural, and then let me tell you something, man. I'm not saying sisters are not beautiful when you go get your hair done up, but let me tell you, I got to see the era where sisters was all about Afro puffs. Everybody had their own style. You know what I'm saying? With no one look. And man, the sisters are so beautiful. It's kind of like you go watch some Soul Train, right? Yeah, they got some funny clothes on, look funny. But I mean, just look at the sisters, man. They don't have the voluptuousness. And again, a lot of them was professional dancers anyway. But we're just going to say outside of that. But again, there was a lot of sisters well put together with their natural look. And again, it seemed like, okay, this could be a good thing, but I'm just saying, might be sliding the plate with a biscuit over here. Now, see, we did this for you now, right? Now, what we want you to do, quit listening to them niggas and take your ass and go vote over here for this Democrat, all right? We want, who from California? Huh? Yeah, y'all trying to say she's Indian, Jamaican, she not black. Wait a minute. Look, this is the state that she was in, right? See? Better watch yourself, huh? So it goes on and talks about some more about Stephanie Hunter Ray, who worked as a makeup. And she said typically wear her hair braided in an afro. And then one day she had showed up and it was straightened, styled in a bob as they call it, right? And to her, she said her hair never had looked so normal. But it bothered her. And in the interview at the hair salon she owned in Sacramento, she specializes in natural hairstyles. And they say, well, what do you mean by normal? Normal is not my normal. My normal is my fro or my braids, right? See, normal for working in the system means your hair had to be fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Let me say that again. In order for you to be working downtown in the corporate office and all that stuff, your hair had to be what, ladies? Fried, dyed, and laid to the side. And that was considered to be, you know what I'm saying? Now you was in. Matter of fact, get your hair done on Friday, go out a little bit. You ain't sleeping all night, trying to keep your hair because you're trying to make it last and go all week. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised most of y'all didn't have a lot of neck injuries. Can't lay up on the damn pillow right, trying to keep your head up from trying to touch and messing up your do. But now you can do all that. You can go swimming now. You can come back this braid up nice, get it nice and tight, and go to work. You know what I'm saying? Comb it out, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Does bald head include in that too? With bald head cover in there is a hairstyle. You know what I'm saying? Or short. You know what I'm saying? Fly cut like Anita Baker, looked her up and down, said, I'll take her, right? So anyway, I ain't gonna keep dragging on that, but it is what it is, right? So California becomes the first state to ban hairstyle discrimination. So I guess they say then it's gonna go to New York, and before you know it, kind of like the marijuana, it's gonna be in all 50 states. But again, like I said, at this point day in time, and the political hypeness and everybody trying to find a way to get, trying to not have to deal with the black talk of reparations, biscuits will be slid in on a plate to entice other people. Don't listen to them niggas. Look what Massa can do for you. He don't know what he talking about. He don't got nothing. We running this. So just keep that in mind, sisters, if you should be hearing me. Moving on. So, right, what else I got in the bag in here for you now? All right, so I did this story, right? I had already did this story originally. For those who have been over here, you've seen this story. And, it's one of those things, man. It's like, let's see, hold on, let me do this. Hold on. Slow up, sweetie, slow up. All right, so I did this story, and this story comes out of, I think it's Broward County, Florida, when the sheriffs and the shorties was out there. Well, check this out and be right back. Check it out. Let's do this. I don't know, this thing has been running a little shot. They all up in my shit, though. That's okay. Moving on.
first at 11, another black eye for the Broward Sheriff's Office. 3 deputies now facing criminal charges for the rough arrest of a teenager. It's a case out of Tamarack that's received nationwide attention.
And new tonight, the teenager's mother is responding to the state attorney's decision to file charges against deputies. CBS 4's Hank Tester is live for us at BSO headquarters with our top story at 11. Hank?
Well, Elliot, the teenager involved in all this doesn't like to talk about it. And according to his attorney, he has now a fear of police. Let's take a look. The video went viral. 3 BSO deputies pepper spraying and taking down DeLuca Roll, April 18th, a parking lot in Tamarack. Roll, 15, had joined friends to witness an after-school fight. The BSO officers arrived to take charge. Roll was arrested, suffered a broken nose. There was a strong community reaction calling for discipline for the 3 deputies involved. This day, the Broward State Attorney charged all 3. DeLuca Roll's mother.
I was grateful because it made me to realize that when kids do something, they should be accountable for what they have done. And when adults do something, they should be accountable for what they have done. So emotionally, I felt okay.
Sue Ann Robinson represents DeLuca Roll and his mother.
The most important thing to me and what it says to the community and to the kids is that we're not tolerating child abuse and that the adults are going to be held accountable for what they did.
Sergeant Gregory Lacera, 2 counts battery, 2 counts falsifying records. Deputy Christopher Krikovic, 2 counts battery, 3 counts falsifying records. Deputy Ralph Mackey, 2 counts falsifying records.
We all saw what happened in the video, which was completely contradicted by the documents that were presented in this case in terms of the police report.
All the charges against the officers were misdemeanors. BSO issued this statement, reading in part, Sheriff Gregory Toney immediately suspended the 3 deputies without pay. Until the criminal case concludes, BSO's internal affairs case remains open. The internal affairs administrative investigation is deferred till the criminal proceeding is resolved. Jeff Bell from the Broward County Deputies Union, confident.
We expect that this will have a verdict of not guilty for all 3 deputies and that they will be returned back to work with back pay.
DeLuca Roll, shown here on the right, recently arrested for fleeing from deputies after a friend was stopped while driving a stolen car. DeLuca Roll was a passenger.
Even a regular interaction with police officers, I'm sure, stirs up bad memories for him and could cause him to flee.
Well, deputies will appear in court over the next couple of weeks. Now, we can tell you battery and falsifying records are first-degree misdemeanors. They can get you a year in jail if convicted. I'm Hank Tester, CBS 4 News Tonight. Back to you.
All right, so it is again Broward County. A lot of stuff always happen up in Broward County, Florida. So we see that there was 3 sheriff deputies face criminal charges and teens rough takedown caught on camera, right? So yeah, sometimes that all-seeing eye is catching a lot of things, isn't it, right? And so what we see is that the 3 were charged, again, it's going back to about April 18 when they arrest the teens, right? And you see that the way that they handled the teenagers, right? Hey, these grown men, you work out, you police. You know what I'm saying? Your job is to stay fit and in shape. You already got a gun in the holster. You got a spray can. You got a baton. You got a taser. I mean, damn. Think about it. You suited and booted and ready to go to work, right? Damn, wait a minute. Taser, baton, gun, spray, handcuffs, and you got partners. I mean, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I ain't never been no police officer, so I can't say and put myself in the shoes of a cop. But I'm just saying, when I looked at the video and we looked at the video, we didn't see how there was any justification in that. And see, they always say we be lying. We got problems with police. It's not we got problems with police. What we got problems with is injustice, right? Because what happened in this situation? Now, again, if you honest, you're upright, standing police officer, then you would need to do with none of the shit that they said that they charging them for, right? And we see that the names of one was the Sergeant Gregory Lacera. He's a sergeant. He got stripes, right? You got Deputy Christopher Kirkovic. So I'm going to say Lacera is something Spaniard, right? Kirkovic got to be Polish, right? And Ralph Mackey. Mackey could be maybe Irish, right? So you got an Irish, Polish, and a Spaniard, right? Dealing with black folks. Well, he might be, right? Might be, right? I could be wrong, right? When I came up, we knew what last names meant. Now, when you talk about black folks, that's something entirely different. We just know common black names that we got. Again, I know somebody's like, that's not your name. We're Africans. I know that. I'm talking about the name we've been stamped with. You know, there's a lot of Washingtons and Browns. And, you know what I'm saying? There were certain names that were just those black American names. Now, we know where the hell they came from. So, but when we're talking about we're dealing with certain people, names fit ethnicity. A lot of people don't act like they don't know that, right? So that's why I can say Lacera is probably Spaniard, right? Kirkovic, probably Polish, right? And Mackey, probably Irish, right? So anyway, so again, was happening at this Travella High School in Cheramac. Situation with students again, when it's a lot of us again, they used to call that mob action, right? 2, 3, 4 of us together is considered mob action. They get to come and break it up. Because why? It goes all the way back to historically when we was on the plantation. Too many together, it make you nervous thinking we planning on plotting on getting your ass. And we ain't even thinking about you. You understand? You got all the guns, all the institutions, all the, you understand? You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker might be thinking about some shit, but it seems like you can't sleep at night because, again, you know what you do, right? So you got to put the boards on them all the time, right? And obviously, sister, what you said is what the results they want, and I'll talk about that as I go on. So you see, Lacera is about 51 years old. Now, he was charged with 2 counts of battery for spraying the 15-year-old. Now, he was just sprayed, and he got 2 counts of battery, right? And then he was the one throwing him on the pavement. And that Kirkovic, who was 29. Now, you got one that's 51. Kirkovic is 29. He was charged with 2 counts of battery for slamming the 15-year-old student face, head to the pavement, and punching the juvenile in the head with his fist. Now, wait a minute. Spraying is equivalent to the same as being punched up? You understand? I mean, all right, whatever, right? Okay. We'll go on. We'll go on. And then we see Mackey, who was 49, and he was the one supposedly falsifying records. Conspiracies, they call it conspiracy to falsify records, falsifying the description of the circumstance of the juvenile's arrest. See, there it is. This is what we're talking about. Y'all always get mad when we try to bring the truth, because the truth don't need no partner. See, when you don't need no partner, you can speak and say what it is, and if it's the fact, it ain't gonna change. When you got to alter shit and lie and fabricate and try to reconstruct or reanimate, they would say reenactment. We're gonna reenact this to make it fit this square peg in this round hole. And then when you get under the microscope and get found out, then everybody wanna say, you're always complaining. It's never that. It's justified. And did you see the damn cop was like, oh, they're gonna be justified. We're gonna find out in court and they're gonna get their back pay. Huh? Never surrender, no retreat. Wrong as all day. Slamming that young boy head on that concrete like that. Ain't nothing in your policy that's going to justify that. When that young boy sat, he laid out for you to go ahead and do the rest. And this dude felt like this was the opportunity to get it off. Right? He 29 years old, right? He wanted to show some authority. He wanted to put some fear. Just like what the mama said, the boy, the attorney was saying, the boy felt he see police now, he might just run. See? Y'all don't understand that. All this shit that you're doing, I ain't gonna, let me take that back. They know what they doing. They know exactly what they doing. They doing that shit to just, what they doing to instill that fear. Because they feel like you out of pocket. We're talking too damn much. We're seeing what the truth is, and they uncomfortable about it. But you rather live the lie and be swelled up with all that bullshit. Again, motto is, I'm a white person's best friend. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I ain't going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. Right? Not because this is about somebody better than you. It's just the fact that this is what it is. You can't refute what you're seeing, but somehow you will change that and make it fit according to the way you need it. So we see that they were all at a McDonald's, about 200 students. Again, McDonald's is a place everybody, Mickey D's, they want to go there, hang out. I don't suggest you eat none of that formaldehyde shit. But, we all kind of went through our phase through that till we got a little bit of knowledge and consciousness. Don't fuck with no McDonald's. But the kids, when you're young, you can eat a lot of bullshit till you get a certain age. So that's where they go hang out. It's after school. Mickey D's, they ain't got no problem because they getting money off of it. Out of the 200, how many of them spent $1 on the dollar meal, $2, $3? Shit, if y'all 200 went in there, that made $600. They didn't get no shit about that shit. McDonald's ain't tripping on that. That's where they get their money from. Huh? We loving it, right? So anyway, you see what you see on the video, slammed on there. You know how it's going to go. They have to sit there and protect their boys. Again, when you right in the right, black folks don't never protest or be angered when we wrong. We won't say shit. Like that nigga, he fucked up, right? He wrong all day. But see, that's the problem. Y'all act like y'all can't discern the fact that when black folks know shit wrong, we won't say shit. But when we come out like that, that's because it is what it is. Because again, we cut from that cloth. The cloth that y'all want to keep trying to saying that these people, and we ain't got no feeling. That's who you want us to be. But no. When we back it and we say what it is, 9 out of 10, we right. And y'all know that shit. So we'll just see as this story develops later on and see what happens, right? That's just how they get down, right? That's just what it is, man. And again, I think that, again, like I said, it's getting close to getting election time. They want to be able to throw something to say that they did this, and that, throwing these biscuits to say black women. See, well, look, we see what we did with the cops, right? He can get some, misdemeanor, it's possible for forgery. He can get a year in jail, maybe 2 years in jail, and even though they're not gonna get time. All that shit we already know the game is. But just to be able to say that they did it, just like with the hair, right? All right, so let's move on. I'm just saying, they throwing a whole lot of shit at y'all sisters. So let's see what I got here, right? This here, right? Let me go and show you this here, right? This might as well follow right in the suit behind that. Right? Might as well go and follow suit behind that. This so I can get this motherfucker to work. This like something is really going against the grain here. Like a motherfucker's in here fucking with my shit, man. Telling y'all, man, you don't believe me. All right, so we got here is another situation when we're dealing with Popo, right? So let me go ahead and do this, and then after that I'll talk about it, because this here it's got some good things in it, but again, like I said, people trying to find a way to make you smile and not talk about, look at the other thing, like switching hands and shit, right? So check this, I'll be right back.
It is the first law of its kind in the country, and it is taking effect here in Pennsylvania. Starting today, 30 million low-level convictions will be sealed from public view.
For some with a criminal background, it could mean greater job opportunities or higher wages. Brenda Waters explains which cases qualify for a clean slate.
It's called the Clean Slate Law, and it went into effect today. And what it means is if you committed a crime, you were arrested but never convicted, that is now wiped clean. So you can go to a prospective employer and say, I don't have a criminal record, because you don't. It's gone.
Excellent news. Excellent news. I mean, people now get a chance to get get their foot in the door.
Oftentimes, if you have a record, that door is slammed in your face because that criminal past stays with you. That is until now. Santa Strong knows all too well.
I was charged with retail theft. It was dropped, and I mean, that's it, but it's still on my, I work. And sometimes it comes up on my record, sometimes it doesn't.
30 million criminal cases will be sealed in the state starting Friday. It will happen automatically. And for those folks affected, this is a game changer. Edward Van Stevenson Jr. is an attorney with Neighborhood Legal Services. For decades, he has helped people get their records expunged after a waiting period. But this clean slate law will now seal those. This means the records will still be visible to law enforcement and will show up on FBI background checks used by schools, hospitals, and casinos.
Under law now, that if a person applies for a job, the employer can go online and look up one's criminal records, and they can use that information for convictions, for misdemeanors and felonies to determine if they're going to hire them. But once records are expunged and sealed, they cannot go on this website to see anything, which means it cannot be used.
I definitely agree with it. I think it's about time they had some kind of law like that.
So, who does this apply to? Folks with summary offenses, misdemeanors, DUIs, buying marijuana, crimes you were arrested for but never convicted of, and have not had other charges within 10 years. Just go to mycleanslate.pa.com. You can also find that link at kdka.com. Brenda Waters, KDKA News.
Am I not understanding something? Is it me? Maybe it's just me. What do you mean you was never charged with something and yet it was still showing on your record? I'm confused, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't that smart. You know what I'm saying? Hey, did y'all catch that, or is it just me? 'Cause I'm like, what? She said she did something, went through, didn't get charged, dropped the case, yet when they go in the system for a job, the job was able to see it. So I see why you finna go ahead and seal 30 million. Y'all got, wait a minute. Mr. Bloody I've been saying there's checks to get out here, right? There's other checks to get, and I think, see, they doing that shit real quick, right? Oh, by Friday, there's going to be, wait a minute, hold on. That don't make no sense to me. Now I hear the brother saying, oh, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It is a good thing in one aspect. Don't get me wrong. I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, hold on. According to what they were saying, you mean to tell me they sitting there saying that that people is able to go and see a record that they didn't even have? Hold on, man. Somebody doing something that ain't even right. Again, write to me. Tell me if I misheard that, right? You agree with it now. But I'm just saying, it just didn't sound right. If you went and they dropped it, how's it in the system that you, again, they like you've been, you either did serve time or been convicted. You ain't got neither one served time or convicted. How can it pop up in the system? She said it pops up sometimes. What? Y'all better investigate on that part. You better investigate, because that ain't sounding right at all. But moving on. So they call this a historical Pennsylvania law to seal millions of criminal charges automatically. Well, I guess so. If what they just said is true, then you got 30 million possibly cases that people were being hindered on something that they shouldn't have dropped the case, ain't served no time enough, and yet that that just don't sit well with me. I'm sorry, y'all. It just don't sit well with me. So again, they said 40 million. I said 30 million, but they saying it's 40 million. of criminal charges in Pennsylvania that will be eligible to automatic record sealing starting Friday. What they call this law the clean slate law, right? And it says, while law enforcement will still be able to pull up arrests and convictions. Arrest? Oh, they counting arrest against you. Oh, wow. Really? I didn't know. I don't know if they do it in my city or my state. I ain't never heard that before. That's brand new to me. Being arrested is still considered a record, even though you ain't been found guilty, but they still penalizing you for it. So that's discrimination in itself. So I can see why, again, I can't get past it. I can see why you're talking about we're going to expunge and seal all this. But yet, they the ones still be able to see it. So that means they still have the biases. You walking around talking about getting a job and all this stuff that may be, trying to get jobs and going to school and all that stuff, that's fine. But the same motherfucker who got all this shit that's put on you, that again, if we look at that, you take each one of these 40 million cases and look through it, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a higher percentage of them that's like, wait a minute, unless that's the law in Pennsylvania, then okay, strike what I said. But if it's just arrest is considered the same as being convicted and that is crazy as hell to me. So, they said the laws apply to non-convictions. Okay, non-convictions. I mean, you ain't that's obvious. How could you, if you, never mind. Summary offenses, okay, it's not showing up for court, right? Most non-violent misdemeanor convictions, including drunk driving, shoplifting, and prostitution, right? So this clean slate first took effect back in December, I guess, of 2018. And those kind of records needed to hire lawyers to go to court to get them sealed as in the other states. But starting Friday in Pennsylvania, the automation process can start once a judge signs off a batch of eligible charges. So they're going to go through to find out which ones, and they're just going to sign out. You ain't got to pay for nobody. It's just going to be naturally being done. I think they did that because maybe somebody got to be looking at this and saying, man, hey, wait a minute, man. This is the way we've been running business. We've been prohibited. So look at, again, always this octopus got different kind of tentacles of how he always finding roadblocks and obstacles to keep you from prospering. And then the motherfucker want to look at us in our goddamn face and talk about something. You want to pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Do you see all the shit we go through? Do you see the obstacles and all the shit that's laid before us? Oh, this is a figment of our imagination, right? So clean slate is clean y'all ass for the shit y'all been doing, because if somebody go back down there, they're going to smell the residue and be like, there's a lot of shit up in here. You understand? Man, I tell you, man, like I said, man, I am a white person's best friend. I'm going to help you to clean your shit up. Now it's on you what you do. Now, again, I'm not saying nobody over here perfect. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, look at this shit, man. Do you see it? This is what we go through on a daily. Now, is them 30, 40 million they ain't going to have white? I'm not going to say they're not going to be all black folks. I'm not going to say that. That's Pennsylvania. I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying that's kind of, funny that you could be arrested. No charges, brought you to the station, they ain't had shit and let you go. But that's still going to be on your damn record when you're walking around and it's hindering you and prohibiting you from getting shit. I didn't think that shit was fair at all. But what the hell do I know, right? I'm just Mr. Blows Your Mind doing this show over here, this news show. Moving on, man. But that's called a clean slate law sitting up there in Pennsylvania, right? All right, so let me give you this one. All right, I'm going to give you this one here. All right, I'm going to get it over here, right? So let's just say, again, you're just trying to, let's say what you're trying to do is you're just trying to get yourself so that you can, maybe get you some license so that maybe you could do some things, right? You need license, you know what I'm saying? To and fro, back and forth, right? Somebody just hit me a message. Y'all heard it live. All right, so So look at this story here, man. I ain't gonna say about it. I'll check that message anyway. So let me see what this is, and then it'll be right back. Let's do this.
Now to a growing controversy over driver's licenses right here in our state of Georgia. A man is now suing the state for discrimination against Puerto Ricans trying to get a license to drive. Kenneth Gonzalez moved to Georgia from Puerto Rico a couple of years ago. His lawsuit claims the state targets Puerto Rican natives, making them answer very difficult questions about the island. He says this is all part of a policy to make it difficult or impossible for them to qualify for Georgia driver's licenses. An Atlanta attorney representing Gonzalez is now speaking out.
As far as we know, this is the only state that has this set of crazy requirements for Puerto Rican American citizens.
Well, the State Department of Drivers Services is not commenting about this except to say that the DDS handles all applications in accordance with state and federal law. Meanwhile, Puerto Rico's governor is now asking Governor Brian Kemp to address the irregularities. Governor Kemp's office released a statement saying that he expects state employees to treat every constituent with respect and is now calling for an investigation.
All right, that's kind of wild, right? That was wild. Hold on, I gotta hold on, cause I gotta read that what it said, right? Because that was kind of crazy to have that on there, right? It had questionnaires. Did you see? And I didn't do that one. I should have did that because that was crazy, right? Did you see that they asked the questionnaires on the applicants for those who were from Puerto Rico? I'm looking at it now. And I'm gonna tell you what it says. It's coming up. So here it is. A brother name is it look like Kenneth Gonzalez, right? Kenneth Gonzalez, and he been trying to get him a license. He from Puerto Rico. And so, Puerto Ricans we consider to be black folks, right? Right? Because Puerto Ricans don't like Spanish. It's some kind of a black-white thing, right? And so they've been figuring out that, damn, so like all the Puerto Ricans can't get a damn license. What's this shit, right? So on the application, it says born applicants, including identifying what a meat field with plantain fritters is called, where specific beach is located, the name of the frog that is native only to Puerto Rico. What? What has that got to do with driving a goddamn car? And yet, no, everybody else is just hateful and just don't like you. But this is the kind of shit y'all do. And you do it because, again, there's no light shined on it. Once the light gets shined on it, you get to see it, and then you mad because we're looking at it. What? A meat field with plantain fritters? What meat field with does plantain got meat? The plantains I know is like just the fried ass bananas. Again, it could be a Puerto Rican dish. What do I know? I'm black American, right? I done tasted from somebody who was from somewhere. They ain't that bad, But then to say what specific beach is located and what frog is native, what does that got to do with the road test? Knowing signs, and what does that got to do with driving? See, always doing some underhanded, slick ass shit, and then want to claim that, no, you're not doing it. You're always doing it. You just don't, again, you know how the vampires are like, right? Because the light is shining on that ass. He can't take the sun and shit. So he got to get in the damn coffin and hide. Because if you stop putting the light on his ass, he going to burn up. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, that's there in Georgia, right? Well, since we's on that, I might as well go ahead and do this segment again. I got another segment here, right? And this one here sent to, let's see who it is. Let me see who sent me today. This one here. I got to do it anyway, right? Let me go ahead and see if I can set it up. Because, I got for those who might be interested in what I'm doing here, I got a little segment. What I do is called Subscriber's Choice. And the subscriber choice is primarily you who are a subscriber have something, an article, something that you want presented on the show. Mr. Blows Your Mind, will go ahead and do your article on that show. Now, again, depending on how many I get right now, I got the number one person who constantly doing it. So right now, you're going to see his name more than anybody till I see other people. If you should want to do it, send it to Droppin' Serious Knowledge, which I think you should see on the screen. That's DROPPIN, Serious, SERIOUS, Knowledge, KNOWLEDGE, or the LEDGE at yahoo.com. Okay, so I got this story here coming from Subscriber Choices, Bernard Thomas again, right? Brother Bernard constantly always sending stuff, and he sent this one in. It's talking about Hunter Biden opens up about struggle with addictions in new interview, right? And that story had been done, I think it was on July 1st of 2019. And so that there's one of Joe Biden's sons, right? Again, Joe Biden is one of the contenders running for the 2020 presidential race. And what we see is his son had struggled with addiction. And on Monday, he did an interview. So he wanted to get this all out because he didn't want this to have an impact on his father. Like, he think that people will use this as cannon fodder to prod and poke at, his vulnerability, right? And really, when you look at it, right, I would say that the vulnerability would be when black people look at that and look at how you could sign a crime bill that was about the crime bill, and how that crime bill was really kind of, attached with the drugs and all the people whose families got destroyed about that. But if your son would have got caught up going to buy from the dope man, he probably wouldn't have still got the same outcome as a lot of our people got, right? And that would be one of the things that probably somebody would throw at you. Probably Kamala Harris might be using that against you. So, he says everybody faces pain and that everybody has trauma. He said there's addictions in every family, right? And he was in that darkness. He was in that tunnel, right? That never-ending tunnel, as he put it, right? And he said, you never really get rid of that, right? You just figure out a way how just to deal with it. So we see that in this extensive interview that he does. I think Hunter Biden is about 49. And he talks about how he deals with his alcohol, his drugs, when he first uses cocaine in college when he was in Georgetown. Now, see, again, right, you know what I'm saying? Go to school. Again, that's what it is. You get that freedom, right? High school, you was just, and then college, you away from home. Just where you learn how to drink and party and, do your wildness, right? So, just a typical college mug, right? And so, he knew that since he was part of an individual who was in the public eye, that he knew that the spotlight would be on him, right? And that he would not be so comfortable all the time in public places because, again, everybody kind of knew who he was. So he always tried to keep himself low key. And so, he said the first hurdle for him was deciding whether or not I was comfortable about taking the family through what would be a very, very difficult campaign. And this is Joe Biden talking about that, right? Joe Biden's like, well, I know I got a lot of dirt in my background. Well, I guess if you're going to get in that public stage like that and motherfuckers is trying to win this competition, you know how it is, fellas. If you grew up like I grew up, we used to be on the corner, talking shit to each other. That was kind of a pastime, some fun time when you ain't got no money and shit. You got all your boys around and you get a motherfucker a little bored and somebody start talking shit about motherfucker. That's what we gonna do. So it ain't gonna be no different when you get up on this political stage here. Motherfucker gonna go in your background and throw all your shit out there, right? So if you cool with it, then you can take it. Otherwise, I guess this is a way to try to break some of the monotonous, right? And so we see that Hunter Biden also discussed about his past relationships with his former wife. I guess her name was Kathleen. And then his brother's widow, Haley Hunter Biden, married a 32-year-old South African woman in May. Now, so that's something, right? I guess that happened, and I guess, but he died, right? So she didn't want another man, so cost up getting herself a woman. And he remembered when he called his dad, and it was on the speaker. He said, "Thank you for giving my son the courage to love again." He was telling his wife that the one he had just married. And, basically, that he said, "I hope that you're taking pictures of us right now. I hope it's a live feed of the president so he can see how much I care about the tweets. And I don't give a fuck, you, Mr. President. Here I am living my life." So I guess this is the calm before the storm. It's kind of like, well, he gonna go there. So I guess it's better to go ahead and tell it now so they don't have such of an impact later. And he knows that already. And again, there's a lot of shit that's gonna probably come out. And right now, he's gonna take a lot of blow because the simple fact then with Kamala Harris and the stuff she said in the racial aspect, I think he got a hard time, really, just for the simple fact. That's why I think they butter biscuiting up sisters, is because why? Well, they try to use the Obama. I'm pretty sure eventually they'll be pulling him out if we ever get to that. They're going to break the glass, bring the Obama out and try to get the effect and try to give a resurgent and try to say, Obama was with Biden and this is who you need to roll with. But again, he signed and he said he signed and he was not apologizing for it. And he came back even after that and said he's proud of what he did. And he wouldn't take it back. So I don't understand how you really think you got a shot in hell unless all the immigration that they're doing is giving them IDs and that they going to vote for them. Because, other than that, I don't see you really, going to pull this off. But, I guess so. So I guess the whole idea of this article here is just to bring out the dirt about the son and let it be known that, he was on the drugs. But like I said, when you signed the crime bill, what would have happened if your son had got caught up at the dope man house? Well, he got the same thing, getting caught up with the crack. Well, we say he used cocaine. So, the laws was already made different anyway, powder versus crack. Like, you can't make crack without cocaine. So I don't understand how there's a difference between the two other than just the process, right? And so because of the extra process makes it more, it's criminalized more, which is just bullshit. It's all one and the same, right? So anyway, that story there was given to us by our brother Bernard Thomas, and that was for subscribers' choice. So anybody who wants to, again, like I said, it's up on the screen. You'll see that if you want to send a story in, you can always do it. All right, when I got the time to put them in, I will do it. All right, so let me show you this. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. This story here, this is like, hey, this is what sometimes got to be done. When motherfuckers is out there on that bullshit in our neighborhoods and think they can do shit and still think business is going to be same old, well, this is the way it's supposed to be pulled. Check this out. Be right back. Hold on. See, let's see, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? All right, check this out. Okay, let's get it.
Okay, I don't give a fuck if he's coming or not. Y'all need to shut this down. We're at Faith Groceries located on 3451 North 23rd Street on Keith Avenue. The store people assaulted a young black male with a baseball bat, knocked him out and had him in convulsions. We are shutting this store down. Don't let anybody in this door. Nobody's coming in this door. Y'all gonna close these doors, lock them up, and shut them down. Because if you don't, it's gonna be a problem. Right now, do I make myself clear? You, what's your name? Whatever your name is, come from behind the counter and lock this door. Now, let's go. Come from behind the counter and lock the door. that door. Come on, man. Let's go. Ain't nobody coming in here. This store is closed. Come on, let's go. This store closed. This store is closed until further notice. The community has spoken. Come on, let's go. I want you to lock that door, turn them fucking lights off. We're done. Lock that door, turn his lights off. Ain't nobody coming up in here. Okay. Nobody. This store is closed. Okay, you ready? Yeah. Oh, let me get my phone first. Okay.
Is that how you do it? Is that how you do it? Bruh, shut shop down. Y'all beamed up one of the residents. You beamed up one of our little brothers in here. Left him out there like that based on some bullshit. Shut it down. Shut it down. He shut it down. He shut it down, didn't he? That's how we got to do it. Yes, somebody I seen them read some of the comments. They were talking about, oh, you got to be a food desert. Well, see, look how you think it. It's not about what the stance that was taken. It's more about the action that we're taking again, making a stance and say, we ain't got to take that shit from you. You talking about a food desert. Well, shit, we may have to travel a little bit further to go get something. But the thing is, ain't no more business going to happen in here. And ain't that my man came in there like Sergeant at Arms, like, you turn the motherfucking lights off, lock this motherfucking door, ain't no more business happening today. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing, tell motherfuckers, look, ain't nobody come up in here. He said, nah, you shutting this bitch down, and if you don't, we about to have a problem. But man, they felt this energy. He wasn't on no bullshit. He was on that real talk. And they knew it. They like, because they knew they was guilty. They knew the shit what he was talking about, he was right, and they know they ain't no way they shouldn't even be opened up after what they had already pulled, right? So that's just the way, you know, again, camaraderie, black communizing with each other. When we stick on one agenda, everybody got to be down with it. That's just how it got to be, right? And that's what you seen displayed there. Now, some people might see white people say, oh, Black Panthers. Man, look. The episode that you might want to try to use to try to, you know, stigmatize the Black Panthers, that's what you want, that's your prerogative. But primarily it was about how they got established. It was about what? Protecting the community against what the elements that was causing harm. And anytime that we start doing that, everybody seems like that's the worst thing for us. But that situation right there was to show them in that business that they meant business, meaning when you pull some bullshit like that, you ain't finna make no money around here. Commend that brother and them for doing what they did, right? Moving on. All right, so we're going to get to the end part of the show here. Get down to the nitty gritty, because why? It just has to be, y'all. It is the 4th of July. I know y'all got other things to do. You don't want to sit around and hear me all day. Then I did pick out a nice little show for you today. I got one more to do. One more. Get some commemoration on that, right? I'm going to actually get a little history of that before I even show all that, and then we're going to end out on that. So, you know, Flint, Michigan, man, you know, that's going to be some detriment as time go on, because a lot of the kids are going to have a lot of, you know, lasting effects. Lead, again, water, the dwellings we lived in, a lot of that shit over there, it had something to do with the fact that they was built before a certain time. So a lot of that shit is lead-based, you know. So we've always lived in the Chernobyl. We always lived in Fukushima. You know, the other day I was supposed to do the story, and somebody probably said, well, damn, what happened to the story about the roaches? I didn't do that because, again, that other story, the one that Bernard gave, and what they had talked about that, and the way those reactions and the people were saying the shit they were saying, I just, you know, sometimes you just be like, all right, enough shit is enough shit. But like roaches and shit, right? You know, they done mutated to the fact that you can't kill them chemically anymore. Well, you know, it's kind of like the same thing that's happening with us. We doing some evolving, you know what I'm saying, this mutating to this higher, you know, development. Because, again, we don't see all these spiritual aspects of things that people are doing to us. So the Most High, the Creator, is fortifying and, you know, changing and the things that we don't see, now the things that we have to be having a defense mechanism against. So when somebody's doing some shit like this, outrightly doing it, you just have to say this wasn't by accident, right? So going back in history a little bit about what happened in Flint, Michigan. You remember the motherfucker that was there, what was his name, Philip Stairs? And he was the one that used the racial slurs about, well, shit, if black people would just pay their damn bills and wouldn't be deadbeats and shit, yeah, this probably would have never happened. That had nothing to do with what happened with that water. That was a decision made by somebody who decided to switch the tap from that to that and said, let's flood this. But what we find out is that bank had a lot to do with that. Genesee County Land Bank. They was the one out there developing old abandoned properties that was in Flint, right? A lot of that was the majority of that was black cities that was suffering through contaminated water crisis all the way going back beginning in 2014. A lot of that shit that bank had they was getting it because a lot of that shit was what? Tax foreclosure homes. So, banks, they just, picking up all kinds of property. But you got people in there based on the simple fact that, the emergencies the emergency centers and shit had FEMA and that whole shit had to come in there. The water was no damn good. You sitting ahead. So how long was that going to keep going on? We're going to keep putting water in there like that. And then we come to find out again, we did the water and we come to find out that you got arsenic in the water, right? So you can't, it's like no matter how you turn, this motherfucker going to always be the same. Ain't no square dealing straight up with you. Matter of fact, I was reading the other day, Pepsi talking about putting water in the can. Now, that may sound better than putting in the water in the bottle because they say, okay, the water in the bottle is producing the arsenic and it's also, remember, what was the other one I told you about? Remember about making the frogs? Atrazine, right? Atrazine, make it, shrink up your testes, also turning you, again, this could be the same chemical that might be somebody inducing that you've seen a lot of the things that, again, they had the gay parade on, right? Could have that effect as well, right? So anyway, so we see that was, again, they had a lot of property, but they still had people in the way. A lot of people who, just didn't have really the money, destitute and so forth. So somebody came with a grandiose idea. Now, nobody's going to never admit that what took place in Flint, Michigan, whether it was an accident or not, we'll never know that. Not till the day that we all had to sit back and maybe watch each other being being judged, that, and then you got to replay all your shit. That's just my way of telling how I'm maybe seeing it, right? Man, it's the only time we're gonna ever see all the shit that's been hidden. So anyway, just the prolonged bullshit that's been going on, and how people persistently keep doing what they do to us. That's why we have to unify with each other and move in the same mindset, having love for one another, seeing brother, sister was good, brother. Take all this motherfucking animosity because we not the enemy to each other. Yes, we got our gripes, and due to the simple fact of all the traps and obstacles that's been laid, that sometimes this is, you attack the person who's most closest to you, and the only people that you see is the only people that you're around. And so who else you going to lash out at? And so we got to learn that once you understand what this shit is all about and how this game that they moving and chess moves and all this shit that's being done, maybe you'll take some of that animosity off each other and realize that who the real true culprit of your problems really is. And it does not necessarily don't mean it's always somebody who's white, because you also have people that look like you that also willing to, for the money, do things in exchange. So that's why we have to always stay vigilant. And again, this is the Black Minds News, and we try to bring you news on the daily about everything that's going on all in our country. And sometimes we even go international when it's necessary. So I'm going to play this, and then we're going to end out after that with, how we end out over here. So until then, the next show, y'all, peace, love, hair grease, and all that. Subscribe, like, share. This is the most hated show on the Black Corner Internet, and if you don't know, you're going to figure out why. So let me put one more thing in here, and then we will go on out of here. Check this out, and let's do it.
I came here to listen, and I just feel so sad that you got all this new stuff at you that was back in the day that you couldn't get. How does this happen in this year? How does this happen, everybody? How does it happen? I don't know how it happened. How could somebody hide stuff? How could they just do stuff that's somebody else's job? But they did it. No, it didn't happen. Please tell me. Some hands are going to roll. That somebody is going to pay for all this murder, all this criminal activity. My heart is hurting. I'm sorry. It hurts. I cannot believe you found stuff in a basement. I can't believe it was redacted and you had to go and find it. Please tell me, how can this happen in 2019?
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on, and it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good News, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the world.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saved 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin. They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu, all white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the sixth version.
5 months before me. 3. There are only 2 possible explanations. They were 5 months before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to fucking death! Kill you! You can't make me do anything like Chris!
Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga, and if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
Well, I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? It knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, Brother Greg, you coming by today. And I said, Malcolm, I love you. And I said, I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there. He said, what do you mean, Brother Greg? I said, well, I closed tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East. And I said, but I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary, booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.